The Christopher Jimenez Show is sponsored by nobody. Welcome to the Christopher Jimenez Show. This is episode 33? 33. We'll call it 33. This is episode 33 of the podcast. Today, I don't really have much to talk about except the NBA Finals, as well as our Skype study that we're actually doing this week. It's this Saturday evening, 5 p.m. We will be meeting at my parents' house. I will be Skyping in Jonathan Brower. We'll be talking about all what it means to love the Lord with all your heart. But we'll talk about that later. Right now, I want to talk a little bit about the NBA Finals, Cramp Game. It was a really, really good game. I really enjoy watching it. I think anybody who loves basketball really, really loved it. And the fringe fans, bandwagon fans who love San Antonio just because they're not the Miami Heat, probably really, really loved it. Skip Bayless obviously really, really loved it because he's such a homer and all that jazz. LeBron has a cramp, can't play, can't even move. Of course, MJ never had a cramp game. Oh, wait a second. Yes, he did. He had a cramp game. He couldn't finish the game. And guess what? His team lost the game. I believe LeBron had a game where he cramped up. And, oh, yeah, that was in the finals. And, oh, yeah, the Heat won that game and won the series, winning their first ring back a couple years ago against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Listen, LeBron's had plenty of cramp games in his career. It's an issue he obviously struggles with. It's something he has a documented history of. It's not an isolated thing. It's not an isolated thing with his conditioning. It's clearly not a problem with his conditioning. I mean, the man is fit as can be. The issue is, he just has that problem. Yeah, it was hot. It probably aggravated the issue. Everybody has to play through the heat. Think about it this way also. This is something that nobody's talking about. The San Antonio Spurs had literally a ton of turnovers that game. When you have turnovers, when you are the team that generates turnovers, guess what? You're going to be running a lot. And LeBron James isn't just one who kind of loafs around when there's a fast break. He is the center of the fast break. Either he's pushing the ball up the court, making the right pass, or he's shooting the lanes, getting an easy slam dunk or layup or something like that. So he is always running. He probably ran himself ragged in that first half. In fact, I haven't looked at the film. I'm not really that kind of guy. But I remember several fast breaks where he was running up and down the length of the court, and other people were not. Like Tim Duncan, like Tony Parker, like Manu Ginobili. Other people were not. So clearly, he was affected more, probably because he was a lot more active. He does a lot more on the court than your average human being. What do I expect? I expect him to come out on fire. I expect him to come out and silence his critics. I expect him to come out and dominate the game. And probably the rest of the series is probably going to be a lot shorter of a series than I predicted that anyone could possibly see. I wouldn't be surprised if it went in 5. Well, actually, I would be surprised if it went in 5. But I wouldn't be surprised if it went in 6. At this point, I think LeBron's going to come out, have a statement game. He's going to have a statement series, and he's definitely going to want to. Now, whether or not it happens, credit the Spurs again. I think the Spurs are a great team, are a fantastic team. But it wouldn't surprise me if LeBron, being the phenomenal player that he is, comes out and absolutely demolishes the competition there. Moving along, again. The Skype study is moving forward as planned this Saturday night, 5 p.m. I expect it's going to be a good time. If you check out my blog, wetalkofholythings.com, you'll see some of the articles that I've written in preparation for this about the heart, what the heart means in the context of Scripture, just in our own colloquial language. When you have your heart set on something, what does that mean? When your heart is in it, what does that mean? I believe it has a lot to do with your will, with what you desire, what you want. What is the difference between Saul and David? What makes David a man after God's own heart? while Saul is the one who's rejected the Lord. And believe it or not, it has nothing to do with committing acts of sin or heinous, gross acts of sin. Hey, David was an adulterer. David was a murderer. We don't see that in Saul. He was an attempted murderer, but he never killed the way that David did with that premeditated murder of Uriah as a cover-up for an adultery. But what we do see is David admitting that he was wrong, admitting that he fell into sin, while Saul, he never admitted anything. In fact, he tried to blame others. The people wanted this. The people made me afraid, so I went ahead and broke the commandments here, broke the commandments there, for the people's sake, because they wanted it. Always wanting it to put his sin on somebody else, never wanting to own up to it and make things right. David did want to own up to it. David did want to make things right. David, in fact, rather than having his sin affect other people, like his son or his firstborn child, he wanted the Lord to take his own life instead, let the child live. So those are kind of my thoughts. We'll see what Jonathan Brower's thoughts are when it comes down to it. I plan to record the Skype session, post it up here on the podcast next week. So if you can't make it out to the event, obviously if you're not from this area, you probably won't be able to, or if you're not a member of my assembly or our circles at FIU, we probably won't even be able to hook up. So, but if you're online, you can listen to my podcast. So I plan to record it and post it. Well, thank you so much for listening. Again, check out my blog, wetalkofholythings.com. Check out my content on Twitter at CJMNZ8. Thank you so much for listening.